When I was in school, a troubled girl from outside campus pressed a scorching iron to my face. My mother could not speak. To seek justice for me, she had to go door to door, asking the neighbors to come with us. 7 or 8 of us went together and knocked on their door. We knocked for what felt like forever before an old woman, toothless and trembling, finally opened it. She fumbled in a ragged cloth bag, pulled out 24 crumpled yuan, and said, "This should be enough." My mother lost control. She tore the money to pieces. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out, only broken, anguished sounds as she gestured wildly for an explanation. The old woman dropped to her knees on the spot, tears running down her face, saying her granddaughter had only slipped and had not meant it. The neighbors all tried to persuade my mother to let it go. They do not have an easy life either. But afterward, my face became badly infected and I had to leave school. Chapter 1. When it came to her, that is everything I ever had to do with her. So when you told me she was gone, I truly did not know anything. The woman who had passed away was named Zhang Shuang. She had left school young and started running with street toughs before she was even grown. Back then, boys and girls alike matured early, but their minds lagged far behind. A pretty girl who knew how to dress herself usually had men orbiting around her and was rarely bullied. I was the exception. My family was poor. My father was absent. My mother could not speak. My grades were ordinary. I kept to myself. Aside from my face, there was nothing about me worth noticing. But Zhang Shuang found out that the boy she liked me instead. That was when the nightmare began. One person wanted to break me. Another waited for me to fall so he could step in and save me. I did not dare tell my mother. I could not bring myself to beg any of them. All I wanted was to study in peace. But 3 days before the middle school graduation exam, Zhang Shuang stopped me on the road. "I'll give you one chance. Have dinner with Brother Yang, and I'll leave you alone." So I went. What was waiting for me was a glowing iron. "You still dare say you have no feelings for him. If that were true, why did you come?" Zhang Shuang smiled as she lowered the iron toward my face. "Girls like you need to be taught a lesson." The hiss stayed with me for years. For more than a decade afterward, I could not stomach the smell of stir-fried food. On countless nights I had thought, if only she would disappear. I just never imagined she really would. She was found lifeless on a bicycle, her limbs twisted unnaturally. Part of her face was gone, leaving only a blur of terrible injury. Chapter 1. "Did you hate her?" the older policeman asked. I lowered my head and touched the scar on my face. "There is nothing left to hate. We were children. It was stupidity, a cruel joke. It is over now." "Then why did you go back to the school every year and tell the story all over again?" "At first, I wanted the school to issue my graduation certificate. Every job wants at least a middle school education. Elementary school alone will not get you hired anywhere. I went a few times, but they said I had withdrawn voluntarily, so they wouldn't issue it. Later, the principal changed, and the new one didn't know what had happened, so the matter just kept dragging on. I understand. Everyone has their own difficulties. I didn't go last year." The younger policeman cut in. "Someone in campus security said you once threatened to go down with Zhang Shuang." I smiled. "Just angry words from a child. You don't truly believe that, do you? Life is full of things that do not go our way. That's fate. I don't have a diploma, and I still get by." "Get by? You call working nights in a bar getting by?" "I clean there," I said evenly. "It's an honest work." The older policeman shot him a warning glance. then returned to the point. "When was the last time you saw the victim?" "June 10th. I saw her outside Starlight Center with her daughter. They bought 2 bags and 3 dresses. The little girl wanted grilled squid, so the 2 of them stood beside the cart and waited." "How do you know that was her daughter?" "They looked alike. The eyes were identical. Besides," I paused, "when they bought the squid, the girl got angry because the customer before her had bought too much. She pushed that person's hand down onto the hot grill." A sharp sizzle. "And then?" "Zhang Xuang handed over some money, and that settled it." I smiled faintly. "Having money is wonderful." "Are we done? I still have a shift. If I am late, I will lose my attendance bonus." "You have shown up at Starlight Center 4 times recently." "I work there part-time. Does working hard count as a crime now? You are trying to establish whether I had something to do with her death, are you not?" I leaned back in the chair. "The cameras outside the center recorded everything that day. If you're free, go check them. Do not waste taxpayers' money making trouble for innocent people." "Please maintain a serious attitude." I laughed softly. "I am being serious. I always fulfill my civic duties." The older policeman studied me for a long moment. "After you were disfigured, did anyone ever care about you?" "That has nothing to do with this case." 7 years ago," he said, "I arrested a serial offender. Every time he attacked someone, he covered the victim's face. If she resisted, he would end her life. Then he would remove the skin from the left side of her face." The scar on my cheek suddenly seemed to burn. "And then?" "His name is Song Zhuo." "I have never heard of him." "He used to run with Wang Zongyang, the same Wang Zongyang who pursued you back then. Song Zhuo said he liked you first, so he asked Wang Zongyang to look after you for him. That was what led to your tragedy." The policeman laid 2 photographs on the table in front of me. One was a boyish face, still soft with youth. The other was a prison photograph. "He said that night you went to see Wang Zongyang. He was the one who opened the door. The light in the room was broken. You stayed all night, begging Wang Zongyang to help you deal with Zhang Xuang." I looked down at my ragged nails, my back turning cold. That night had been freezing. My face was still raw with pain. My mother had gone out to borrow money for treatment and hadn't come home even by late evening. Zhang Xuang had disappeared. Only that old woman was left behind, crying poverty and misery. I was too young to sue. We had no money for compensation. My face could not wait. Skin graft surgery was too expensive, and my mother couldn't afford it.
In the end, my face was ruined. I washed in cold water, put on a mask, stew-passed away myself in the mirror, and decided my figure was still passable. Then I went to the billiards hall, where the local thug who had been pursuing me liked to spend his time. He had written me countless love letters. He said he would do anything for me. I brought those letters with me and said, "If you help me with this one thing, I will do whatever you want." He looked at me, burst out laughing, and dragged me into a room. "It is fine. Once the lights are off, an ugly face looks the same as any other." I was so tense that he forced alcohol down my throat. Through the haze, I heard him asking someone else to read the love letters aloud. After that, they took turns violating me. When I woke, the bed was scattered with photographs, close-ups of my face among them. Wang Zongyang sneered. "A wreck like you still thinks she gets to make demands?" The older policeman continued. "Those letters were all written by Song Zhuo. Wang Zongyang only signed them. Song Zhuo escaped from prison last year. The way Zhang Xuang's face was damaged matches his old crimes. And recently your phone has been in contact with an unknown number from the very city where he has been hiding." I laughed out loud. "Do you call that love? A cold-hearted, violent offender returning 10 years later because of obsession? The younger policeman's face hardened. Why could it not be? I looked up and laughed again. That night at the billiards hall, Wang Zongyang was the first man to force himself on me. His younger brother was the second, and the fourth man through the door, I met their eyes one by one, was Song Zhuo. Do you still think that is love? The room fell silent. The older policeman cleared his throat. Do you remember the names, the dates? I understood. It was too late. By law, a minor who had been assaulted had 3 years after turning 18 to file suit. That deadline had long gone. What happened afterward? He asked quietly. Jiang Shuang got hold of the photographs. She took them to the place where my mother was trying to borrow money and handed them out to anyone standing there. She said I had been hurt because I was shameless, because I attracted men, because I deserved it. She told my mother to go home and teach me properly, or I might lose the other half of my face too. My mother could not borrow any money. She ended up fighting people to snatch the photos back. The neighbors stood at their doors, pointing and whispering. My mother could not hear them, but she knew I could. She dropped to her knees and waved her hands frantically, begging them to stop. But they kept talking. For a long time. Someone pushed a box of tissues towards me. I pulled one out. A tear landed on my thigh. Thank you. If she hated you that much, the older policeman asked, why did she not recognize you on June 10th? I looked at my calloused hands and slowly raised my head. Exactly, I said. She did not recognize me.
Chapter 2. How could she possibly have recognized me? She had become rich. Newspaper profiles called her a model entrepreneur. And me? I was a woman with only half a face. The billiards hall had turned into an arcade. The old market had become a supermarket. She owned several travel shops now and had even been honored as a traditional embroidery artisan. She had married a building contractor. When I came out of the interview room, several of her husband's men were loudly berating the police. You have investigated this long and still found nothing? What are you even drawing state salaries for? If you are not protecting someone, then you are jealous of rich people. Poor people will do anything for money these days. Our boss lady was such a good person. She gave to charity all the time, donated to poor mountain villages too. She was even planning to go back to her old school next month to talk about her success. She nearly lost her head, and you still have not found the missing part of her face. You owe us an explanation. I kept my head down and walked past them. The sunset struck the unscarred half of my face, making it beautiful enough to mislead the eye. A man standing behind them looked up sharply. His gaze flashed exactly the way it had flashed more than 10 years ago. So Zhang Shuang had never gotten Wang Zongyang after all. She had married his younger brother, Wang Hu. 2 of Wang Hu's men came over. Were you being questioned? Is it about our boss lady? Our boss is conducting his own investigation too. If you have anything useful to say, he will reward you. I listened with my head lowered. Then I slowly raised it, pulled off my mask, and smiled. Reward me where? Both of them froze. My God! Disgust instantly flooded Wang Hu's face too. Stay away from me. One of the men lifted a hand as if to shove me. At that moment, the younger policeman stepped out, frowned, blocked him, and said to me, "Let's go." I walked him to the door, then we went our separate ways. I did not expect to run into him again at the market. He stopped when he saw me. I was carrying bags full of scraps, pig heads, trimmings, wilted vegetables. Something flickered in his eyes. The hand holding his fruit tightened slightly. I smiled. "What is it, Officer Qin? Are you feeling sorry for me and thinking of sharing some peaches? In that case, I will not stand on ceremony. They're expensive. I wanted some just now, but couldn't bear the price."
He gave a quiet laugh, opened the bag, and really did hand me the 2 biggest peaches. They were the first peaches of the season, 23 yuan a jin, outrageously expensive. I thanked him and took them with a smile. I'd only gone half a block before he caught up with me again, more cautious now, more probing. "How do you know my surname is Qin?" I showed him my phone. During the questioning, I thought you looked familiar, like someone I knew, so when I had time, I checked the public recruitment list online, and sure enough, your name was on last year's successful candidates. If I'm not mistaken, you're Teacher Qin's son, aren't you?
I tipped my head slightly, letting the intact right side of my face hide the left. The last ray of sunset fell across my cheek. Then the streetlights came on, washing the whole road in pale gold. Teacher Qin taught me for 2 years in middle school. I left in such a hurry back then that I never got the chance to thank him. If I ever had the chance, I really wanted to pay him a visit. People say the left side of the face holds the truth in a person's heart, while the right side is better at concealment, like a natural mask. I looked at Qin Ji. He was silent for a moment before he said softly, "My father is gone." He paused. June 10th last year. I had just finished my interview that day. He was so happy he drank too much. He was riding his bicycle home, fell into the river, and never came back out. His eyes darkened. Grief roughened his voice. There were people passing by the riverbank. Not one of them spoke up. Not one of them saved him. My father could swim. He was just too drunk that day. If anyone had helped him, just helped him get free of the bicycle, he would have lived. "What a pity," I said softly. They all just stood there and watched. After that, He stopped. I smiled. "After that, you decided you would never stand by and watch again, did you not? You are a good policeman. With someone like you around, people like me can sleep easier." I met Officer Qin again the next day. His eyes went straight to the bags in my hand, more scraps, more wilted vegetables. "You should not eat things like that all the time." "I don't, once or twice a month at most. They were discounted the last few days, so I bought more than usual. My hormones are a mess. I get tired easily. I need fatty food to build red." He stared. I lowered my head and smiled, shifting the bags to my other hand. "It is hard to make money now. You have to save wherever you can just to stay alive. Though honestly, no matter how much you save, it never keeps up with how fast money disappears." Qin Ji glanced at me, his gaze lingering on my mask. "I know a friend who is a very good plastic surgeon. If you need it, I can ask for you. It might not cost as much as you think." I burst out laughing, almost unable to stop. "Officer Qin, your expression is too obvious. Were you just quietly calculating how much of the surgery bill you might help me cover?" He looked flustered. "I did not mean to pity you." I looked straight at him. "Thank you. Pity is a beautiful thing, a precious thing. It's just a shame that when they were bullying me back then, nobody pitied me at all." His goodbye had nearly left his lips, but my mention of the past made him stop. Behind the middle school there used to be a roller skating rink. Once, when I was on cleaning duty, I took the shortcut and saw a boy with red all over his head. It looked as though he had fallen. I had already walked past him, but he looked so pitiful that I went back and handed him some tissues. After that, I saw him from time to time. He was always hurt. Then one day, suddenly, he was not hurt anymore. A few times when I stayed late on duty, he waited for me at the mouth of the alley and walked behind me the whole way through. One day he rushed up and shoved a letter into my hand, then ran off before I could say a word. There wasn't even a name on it. So it wasn't that I didn't know him, it's that he had never told me his name. Qin Ji exhaled softly. It was him, was it?
At the time, all I wanted was to study properly. I had thought very carefully about how to turn him down, but the second time I stayed late on duty, before I could say anything, a thug dragged him away and said, "Why did you sneak off ahead by yourself?" Then he turned, saw me, and laughed. "So, our good little honor student is trying to chase this girl, is he?" After that, Zhang Shuang started picking fights with me constantly. I was terrified. That alley was deep, but there were tutoring teachers nearby. The last time Zhang Shuang dragged me away, do you know what I wished for? I wished someone would see me, hear me, not just stand there and watch, not just sympathize from a distance. Even a single shout for help would have done. I let the sentence trail off. Qinji sighed. If only my father had been there back then. The evening shadows stretched across the ground like a face pressed against a window. "Yes," I said, "if only Teacher Qin had been there." "My father used to use you as an example to push me," Qinji said. "He told me there was a transfer student in his class. Poor family, single-parent household too, but she was not insecure. She worked hard. She made huge progress in her studies. He said maybe one day she would even get into a key high school. One time, he even brought home a red-dyed egg. He said the transfer student's mother had made it and given it to him for good luck. He said it was dyed beautifully." I laughed. I remembered that. My mother could not speak, but she was deft with her hands. Back in our hometown, whenever a family had a wedding or a happy occasion, they would ask her to dye red eggs for them. Other people used red yeast rice powder. She used sappanwood and an old family method. The eggs came out with a faint woody fragrance that masked the fishy smell and left behind a sweet, salty taste. Once, I wrote an essay about my mother dyeing red eggs. My homeroom teacher chose it as a model essay and praised me for having talent. He said the writing was so vivid that it made the eggs sound delicious. Several classmates joked that hearing about them was nothing compared to seeing them. The whole class laughed in good spirits. When I got home, I signed the whole thing to my mother. She was delighted. She touched my face again and again. The next morning, I woke at 5 and discovered she had been up all night dyeing eggs. She had counted how many to prepare based on the report card I had brought home, then gone to the neighbors after midnight to borrow more. Half a page of paper was covered in crooked little marks where she had recorded who had lent us eggs. She laughed her voiceless little laugh and showed me a whole basket, telling me to bring them to school and let my classmates taste them. I asked Qinji, "Were they good?" He looked embarrassed. "My relationship with my father was not very good back then. I did not eat it. I threw it away." "What a pity. Teacher Qin said it was delicious and asked whether I had any left. I saved one especially for his son." He gave a rueful smile. "Then that really is a pity." That day, after I had finished passing out the eggs, Teacher Qin had just left when Zhang Shuang, who still hadn't dropped out yet, came back into the classroom. There were no eggs left for her. I had already given the last one to Teacher Qin's son. She sneered and kicked the desk. "Move!" That was the first time she ever saw me. She looked me up and down for a very long time, then said, "So having a pretty face makes you something special. If you love playing innocent so much, why not go make tea eggs instead? Pray I do not run into you again." The next time she saw me was after the thug she liked started paying attention to me.
Chapter 3. Qinji started to say, "Then if you ever get the chance, I probably will not." He fell quiet, so I finished for him. Afterward, my mother started selling red to raise money for my face, and she contracted HIV. She held on for a year. Then she listened to other people's advice, bought life insurance without telling me, and hoped to leave me some money. That was how she passed away. In the end, the insurance paid nothing, and every cent we had was gone. It is better that she never knew. Otherwise, how miserable she would have been. Qinji could not find a reply. The streetlights came on, illuminating the dark entrance to the housing block in front of us. It was an old workers' compound, crumbling, filthy, always smelling faintly of urine and dog mess. You are living in Yuanxin Garden now? He asked. I remember there was a fire there more than 10 years ago. I thought it had been demolished. There were deaths in the fire, I said. The victims' families are still fighting the old construction company and the local management office over compensation, so nothing has been resolved. In a way, that is good for me. If they had torn the place down, I could never have afforded a room that cheap. How long would I have to save otherwise? His eyes flicked to the bandage on my hand. An old stain had seeped through it. Your hand? Skin peeling, I laughed. Do not look like that. Nothing dramatic. Just the ordinary kind. I work at a grilled fish stall. My skin gets very dry. Do you still have a shift tonight? Of course. People passing on the road gave us curious looks from time to time. A woman with a frightening scar across her face, standing beside a tall, bright, handsome young man. They looked mismatched, yet somehow strangely harmonious. If you're free tonight, come by for grilled fish, I said. I'll make it for you myself, Officer Kin. It tastes almost as good as my mother's red eggs, perfect with a drink. All right. At that moment, his phone rang. Overtime. It was still Zhang Shuang's case. For the past 10 years, our little central town had accumulated several unsolved major cases. Every police chief or station head in charge had seen his career stall at crucial moments because of them. Now there was one more. The leadership was furious. The pressure on Qin Ji and the others only grew heavier. They worked like beasts of burden. Their shifts never truly ended. "Oh," I asked as he glanced at the screen, "is the child all right?" "Sorry, I cannot disclose investigative details." "Of course. Then go be busy, Officer Qin. If you remember anything else about Zhang Shuang's case, contact me. Be careful." Then he handed me a phone. I walked along the old, dim flower beds. Now and then I heard coughing from the elderly residents, bellows-like, ragged, and the shrill wailing of stray cats. After the fire years ago, when the victims' families had laid several charred bodies outside the courthouse for half a month to demand compensation, anyone in the complex with enough money had long since moved away. Now, once darkness fell, fewer than half the apartments still lit up. I carried my food in one hand and slowly climbed the stairs, steadying myself on the rail. The lower half of the once white walls had turned gray. The narrow stairwell had been dark and broken the night before, but the bulb was supposedly replaced today, just as promised.
At the first landing, the tabby that usually squatted there was not around. There were several strays in the compound, and I knew them all. I fed them at fixed places. Every cat had its own spot. At the second landing, the striped cat that liked to sit outside my door was gone too. Above the fourth floor, the building was eerily quiet. At the moment, I was the only one living up there. When I reached my door, I crouched down as if to tie my shoelace. Just as I thought, the long strand of hair I had taped outside the door had snapped. The one inside was still intact. I went in. Heavy curtains covered every window. Not even a thread of dim light could escape. The ash I had scattered at the threshold showed no footprints. No one had entered. I set down the meat and vegetables and called Qin Ji. He was clearly surprised. I told him I thought someone might have been following me. Then I described what I had found. "Could it be Song Juo?" I whispered, my voice shaking. "Do you think he wants me gone? Was he not supposed to have disappeared?" Qin Ji told me not to panic. He said he would notify the local precinct at once and have an officer come to my apartment. "I do not think so," he said. "He probably—" "I do not believe that." My voice trembled, catching on tears as I went into the kitchen to grab a cleaver. A piece of meat slipped from my hand and slapped onto the floor. I picked it up and threw it on the chopping board. Why not? Why could it not be? Then Qin Ji told me a story. Song Juo had indeed been arrested 7 years ago, but in truth, his crimes had begun 10 years earlier. For those 10 years, he had dropped out of school, worked, earned money, gone home for New Year, lived quietly and properly as if he had removed himself from his past. Then, on the Ghost Festival 10 years ago, his half-paralyzed father finally passed away. On the night his last remaining family member passed away, Song Juo picked up a plastic bag and went out. The first person whose life he ended with it was someone he had had no contact with in 10 years, Li Tong, one of the thugs who had bullied me that night, a lackey under Wang Zongyong, a man who in the order of that night's cruelty had stood ahead of Song Juo. After that, Song Juo took all the money on him and staged the scene like a robbery. There was 98 yuan in total. With those 98 yuan, on his way to find the mastermind, Wang Zongyong, he passed a souvenir shop and went in to buy a cartoon thermos cup, the kind that had been fashionable at the time. The shop clerk saw stains on his sleeve and called the police after he left. Because he had no contact with Li Tong for so many years, it took police time to identify him from a sketch. Later, when Song Juo was finally captured while on the run, the first thing he did after being forced to the ground was use every ounce of strength to set upright the thermos cup that had fallen over. During interrogation, he said the cup was for me. During interrogation, he also said that if there was one person in the world he did not want to hurt, it was me. Qin said quietly, "I am not telling you this to excuse a criminal. I'm telling you because you are special to him. He would not show himself in front of you casually." A knock came at the door. Knock, knock, knock. I stopped breathing. Qin lowered his voice. "Do not say anything. Do not make any noise. Take a look first. If it is the neighborhood police officer, he will knock hard and identify himself."
There was nothing outside. I watched for a while, then reported what I saw in a whisper. Qin switched lines and called his colleague. The call connected. I heard the ring coming from somewhere not far away in the stairwell. I let out a breath of relief. I hurried to the door and opened it. No one was there. The newly replaced bulb outside my apartment door was blinking weakly. The phone kept flashing and ringing farther down the stairs. Step by step, I went down. First, I saw the phone lying on the landing. Then, in the darkness under the stairs, I saw the local officer. His head was covered in red, and he was not moving. Behind him, the half-closed door to the half-floor landing stirred in the draft. Bang! It slammed shut. At the same moment, every light in the stairwell went out. The sudden plunge from brightness into blackness stripped my eyes of all bearings. But in that bottomless dark, I sensed someone on the lower flight. More precisely, a pair of eyes. They stared at me through the void. I heard my own breathing quicken. I opened my mouth, trying to say something. Silence pressed in from every side. Only the deep male voice from the phone in my hand sounded unnaturally clear. "Sha Quan? Sha Quan?" Like waking from a dream, the darkness shifted, thinned, and loosened like fog. I saw the vaguest outline of a figure, there and gone. I think I saw Song Juo.
Chapter 4. The neighborhood officer had been knocked unconscious. Concussion. Qin colleagues were combing through every house on the nearby streets, trying to find Song Juo, the man who, at that moment, had been only 1 floor below me. Qin suggested I move. I shook my head. This place means something special to me and my mother. He has already been startled. He probably will not come back. Besides, have you not already set up extra patrols? I trust our police. The older policeman frowned. This is not a joke. Maybe he really did like you when you were in school, but that was over 10 years ago. Do not forget what he is, a serial offender, a violent offender. Violence can become an addiction. Never gamble on the limits of an evil man. I understand. I will be careful. It's just, I made myself smile in reassurance. If I suddenly move somewhere unfamiliar, will that not be even more dangerous? Evil meets evil in the end. Bad people do not escape forever. No, the older policeman said, glancing around. They do not. Otherwise. Chin-ji wanted to walk me upstairs, but I refused. I just need to change, then I have to hurry to work. My shift starts in half an hour, and I'm already late. I'll drive you. He drove steadily and got me there 10 minutes early. As we passed the street behind Starlight Center, I looked out in surprise. Why is that arcade closed? It was open earlier. There was an accident there yesterday afternoon. A glass panel fell from upstairs just as the owner walked out. It hit him and ended his life. Yesterday afternoon? Then was that not while we were walking together? Did you know him? There was nowhere to hide in the passenger seat. The left side of my face was fully exposed. I glanced at the rearview mirror. He used to own a billiards hall. I'm sorry. It's all right. I forgot long ago. When we arrived, my hands were trembling so badly I could not undo the seatbelt. Chin-ji leaned over and unlatched it for me. As soon as I stepped out, another worker at the food cart grinned and winked at Sui-yu. Sister Sui-yu, he's handsome. I turned and looked at Chin-ji. He lifted a hand in farewell. I smiled and called him back. Wait! I walked over and handed him a skewer of grilled squid. My coworker cooked it, but I taught him. It tastes pretty good. While he was still hesitating, something else occurred to me. Oh, right. The day Zhang Shuang brought her daughter to buy squid, she seemed to be in a terrible mood. Halfway through, she answered a phone call. She said something about the child's medical checkup. Chin-ji took the skewer almost reflexively. After hearing me out, he said, Actually, there's something I haven't told you. Zhang Shuang and Wang Hu both have monolids, but their daughter has double-lid lids, and so did Wang Zuyang. Is it possible the child is actually... Wang Zuyang and his younger brother Wang Hu had never gotten along, because Wang Hu had stolen his chance to become a driver. Later, Wang Hu found stable work, while Wang Zongyang remained a thug. One stormy night, Wang Zongyang got drunk, smashed windows, and shouted in the street after a vicious fight with his brother that sooner or later he would make something of himself and come back to force Wang Hu to kneel and call him Big Brother. Wang Zongyang never came back. The one who returned from Zhangcheng was Zhang Shuang. Quinji's expression changed. He looked at me, and in the same instant we thought the same thing. Maybe Wang Zongyang had never left that night at all. Later, a piece of bone was indeed found beneath the floor of Wang Hu's old house. The DNA matched Wang Zongyang. The cut surface was clean. It had been buried for 10 or 11 years. No wonder Song Zhuo had never found him. No wonder Wang Zongyang had vanished without a trace. He had disappeared that very night. Wang Hu was summoned in for questioning. This time, because of motive and circumstance, he was also suspected of involvement in Zhang Shuang's death. During the investigation, police found large amounts of cash in Wang Hu's home, along with calligraphy and paintings completely out of keeping with his status, assets he could never have plausibly acquired on his own. Wang Hu flatly denied having taken a life and sneered that if the police were so capable, they should find the rest of the remains. But he could not explain the suspicious origin of his wealth. He said the first real money had come from what his wife made in Zhangcheng. So the rich, elegant woman everyone admired turned out to be the shameless one after all. Their fortune had not come from diligence, it had come from timing and from limitless shamelessness. The whole town exploded in gossip. People on internet forums began dredging up the couple's glorious deeds from years ago. Wang Hu could not stand being picked apart.
He ran. With no one directly involved stepping forward to deny anything, the rumors only grew wilder. When the first authorized news report finally came out, newspapers across half the province sold out. I bought one too. The aunties at the gate of the housing block whispered amongst themselves. One of them asked me, "That girl, was she the one who bullied you back then?" Another woman leaned in. "I think it was her. Retribution. Heaven sees everything, was it not?" I smiled. Without a face, how could I recognize her? Later, on my way upstairs, I found half a face. The skin was pale, swollen from preservative, the pores enlarged, the brows gone. It was Zhang Shuang's. I crouched and looked at it for a while. Then I picked it up and tossed it to the cat meowing beside me. Even the cat would not eat it. I pushed open my door. The lights were on. The raw meat I had left in the refrigerator was gone. 4 dishes and a covered soup sat on the dining table, and on the chair where I usually sat, there was a thermos cup. I closed the door behind me. I put down the bottle of liquor and the things in my hands, then turned to take out 2 glasses. "So, you are here. Want a drink?" At last, the person in the darkness lifted his head. A bottle under his foot toppled and rolled across the floor with a clatter. Empty liquor bottles were lined up by the window. I filled a glass and drank half. Then he came closer. He had washed his hands, bathed. He no longer smelled of anything. He was still wearing a security guard's uniform. His face was delicate, almost honest-looking, with only his eyes shining in a strange way.
The phone on the table kept flashing. I picked it up. "Officer Chen, what is it?" Chen Ju was breathing hard. "We have found Wang Hu. He is gone." "Gone?" "He switched cars and drove into the alley behind Starlight Center. There are no cameras on that stretch. He went in and never came out. When traffic police checked a vehicle violation, they found him lifeless inside the car. His limbs were bound. His wrists had been cut. He bled out. The window had been lowered from inside. In that condition, the fact that he managed to stop the car and lower the window means he met someone he knew. I think it must have been Song Ju." "Xia Quan, that man is very dangerous now. I strongly advise you to move. There are vacant rentos near a compound. A friend could arrange one. The price is similar." I hung up. The man across from me kept staring at my phone until the screen went dark. "How did you know I was at Starlight Center?" he asked. "For years now," I said. "Every June, someone passes away by accident. One of them has had some connection to me. One was electrocuted, one drowned, one fell to his death. The most recent was that billiards hall owner, crushed by falling glass. The timing was too regular, too deliberate. The accidents were made to look real. I thought the only person who could pull that off would be someone deeply familiar with this place. And following people is too risky. The safest, least noticeable way left would be through surveillance cameras." Song Ju's expression held both pleasure and pride. "But with so many accidents, were you not afraid of being discovered?" His plain face colored with a faint flush. "No. So many people in this world are invisible. Waiters, delivery drivers, street vendors, sanitation workers. They are not young anymore. They are not beautiful. Nobody notices them. If one of them has an accident, it is just an accident. The richer ones later on were a little more troublesome," he smiled. "But now everything is finished." Chapter 5. Song Juo stopped speaking and flicked a glance at me. I drained the rest of my half-full glass, poured myself another, and raised it. "This one is to thank you. Thank you for making so many dishes. Since my mother passed away, it has been a long time since I had more than 2 dishes on the table."
Stiffly, he lowered his glass to clink against mine. He took a sip and frowned. I bought the liquor from the little shop downstairs. It was cheap. The taste is not very good, so do not laugh. I would not. He emptied the small cup. I picked up a piece of greens and put it in my mouth. It is delicious. Auntie taught me well, he said. Before she left, she taught me a few dishes my father liked. I only remember these 3. I turned and looked at my mother's photograph set in the center of the room, with memorial food laid before it. My mother was deaf and mute. It was hard for her to find work. Most often she worked as a housekeeper or nanny, cooking in one home, cleaning in another, diligent and silent. She earned just enough to keep the 2 of us alive. Songjuo's father had been a special case. Every cent he saved had gone towards staying alive, so he lived with great frugality and paid almost nothing. But my mother was kind, and she took the job anyway. She was afraid other employers would hear how little she was charging and complain, so she was careful never to tell anyone. Songjuo's father had been injured in an industrial accident. Machinery damaged his nerves. After he was left half paralyzed, Songjuo's mother ran away. Songjuo hated women, even my mother, who could not speak. So I hated him too. Whenever I went to pick my mother up after work, I never said a word to him. He thought I was deaf and mute as well, and behind my back he called me the little mute girl. That lasted until the day I saw him being bullied. I had already walked past, but I turned back and handed him a tissue. I bent down, looked at that stubborn teenage boy, and asked, "Are you all right?" He froze. Maybe he had been too shocked to discover I was not mute after all. He gaped at me, then hurried off with his bike in a panic. After that, I saw him a few more times. He was always being beaten, always bruised, always pitiful to look at. He probably worried I would tell his father, because every time he saw me, he lowered his head and avoided me. In truth, Songjuo was pitiful. Later, though, it seemed he finally made friends. The wounds disappeared from his face. When he saw me, he could lift his head. The boys around him always teased him when I passed, then suddenly shoved him toward me. The first thing he ever said to me was when he handed me a letter. "For you." The letter felt like a scalding potato in my hand. I assumed he had written it. Before going to pick my mother up that evening, I even secretly combed my bangs. But later, Wang Zongyang said the letters Songjuo had been delivering were his. He ordered Songjuo to keep running errands and bring me one every week, bold, passionate, shameless things. It was because of those love letters that Zhang Shuang started bullying me. I hated Zhang Shuang. I hated Wang Zongyang. And because of them, I came to hate Songjuo too.
After the first glass of liquor was gone, the heavy mood in the room seemed to ease. I said I did not understand why he had done all this, why he had been helping me. Songjuo poured himself another glass and emptied it in one swallow. "I am sorry." His voice caught. "That night I was going to go in. My father was good to me. He was paralyzed. My mother had left. I could not—" He rambled until the words broke apart. At last he covered his face. "I am sorry." That night, when I went to look for Wang Zuyang, I regretted it the moment I stepped inside. I stood there awkwardly, seeing Zhang Shuang's coat on the bed and Wang Zuyang smoking shirtless. I said I wanted to leave. He dragged me in and shut the door. The room went dark. He said a ruined face did not matter. Once the lights were out, all women were the same.
Since I had come to his door on my own, he said, he might as well grant my wish. In my fear, he forced a glass of strong liquor into me. I coughed and choked. I staggered toward the door, and he yanked me right back. "Did you not say you would do anything? I am helping you now." I cried and begged him, saying I was wrong. I had come to the wrong place. I wanted to go home. Wang Zuyang said plenty of women liked him. He did not need one more. The only reason he was even bothering with me was that his new lackey had a crush on me and needed a chance to show loyalty. In other words, it was a game. As things crashed around me, a fear I had never known before swept over me. My heart trembled. The alcohol made my limbs soft, but my mind had never been clearer. At last, I understood that one reckless moment had pushed me into something unspeakably terrible. "Brother Wang," I begged him. He laughed. "Did you not call me a thug before? Do you know what I hate most? Fake little honor students like you. You read a few books and think that makes you special. You really think studying will let you climb into some better life? So what if you're good at school? Does that make your voice sound prettier too?" I stammered. "Brother Wang, I have money. I will give it to you." He roared with laughter and started searching me. "Of course you will give me money. Come on, let us see how much you have." I screamed, "No, no, no, Brother Wang! Mom, save me! Song Zhuo, save me! Please save me!" 2 seconds later, there was a knock outside the door. "Brother Wang, that—" "Get out!" Silence crashed down. Then, half-conscious, I heard someone reading those letters aloud. My eyes blurred with tears. I saw the door close and open again. The last person to come in was Song Zhuo. He handed me a tissue, but he did not know whether to wipe the corner of my mouth or the tears at the corner of my eye. He cried as he spoke, "I am sorry, but my father cannot run. What will happen to him? He raised me all these years. I am sorry. Wang says he has connections. Even if he gets arrested, he'll be out right away. By then, my father would pass away slowly, miserably. I don't know, Shaquan. I don't know." He never touched me, not once. He thought that made him a good person against his will. I think he even said he loved me. I turned my face toward him with great effort, and he stared back through tear-blurred eyes.
Using every bit of strength left in me, I said, "Would you please get out?" A similar scene. A similar man. Now sitting across from me, his eyes shone wetly again. Today, Song Zhuo still said he loved me. "I know your secret, Shaquan. We are the same kind of people. Since we are the same kind, why do we not go together? We can find somewhere no one knows us." I looked up at him. Afraid I would refuse, he hurried on. "I know places to hide away. Vegetarian meals, hardly any people. No one would recognize us there. The police would never find us." By the same kind, he meant my secret. Song Zhuo knew. Years ago, he had drunk too much. The first person he should have dealt with that night was Wang Zuyang. But instead, that night, he saw me make my move against Wang Zuyang. I had dragged Wang Zuyang, knocked senseless after I collided with him in the rain, away myself. "I knew you hated them," Song Zhuo said. "So I knew why you ended his life. But you were careless. Sooner or later, the police would have traced it back to you." That night, Wang Zuyang had arranged to meet Li Tong so they could go south together and seek their fortune. So you decided to take Li Tong's life, the man Wang Zuyang had asked to meet. Song Zhuo looked awkward. I
I could not let you be exposed, Shaquan. After my father passed away, the first person I wanted to find was you. I have a question. Ask, why did you attack those women like that? Pain twisted his face. At first, I was afraid Li Tong's death would lead investigators to Wang Zuyong. I could not let anyone discover you were in danger. I thought if I misdirected them. He said once he feared people would never know he loved me. Later, he feared they would know too much. Such profound love laid bare. The officer who was attacked that day, was that you too? I could not let him come upstairs. You would have gotten into trouble. So you really do care about me. I looked at him. Liquor makes cowards bolder. Under its influence, Song Juo stared at the right side of my face and stretched out a hand as if to touch the back of mine. I pulled away. A second bag on the table shifted, eggs rolled out of the floor. Song Juo's face hardened instantly. Eggs? Why did you buy eggs? Were you going to make red eggs for him? For that policeman? Policemen have to eat too. He let out a cold laugh. Then does he know you were the one who caused his father's death? Caused it? I said. He chose it for himself. His son had passed the civil service exam, and he did not want anything to interfere with the background check, so he chose his own end. A father who could stay cold in the face of other people's suffering, who could watch a girl's face be burned with an iron because he was afraid his illegal tutoring would be discovered, and who threatened her day after day and forced her to leave school instead of making trouble, was suddenly very devoted when it came to his own son. Not a moment's hesitation. Song Juo stared at me as if I were a stranger, as if he were seeing me for the first time. He kept asking me to give him one chance. He said he wanted to be a good man now. His son had a future, and he wanted to see him live with honor. I said I would give him one chance. All he had to do was step forward and explain that the form I submitted back then was a request for temporary leave, not a formal withdrawal, so I could finally get my graduation certificate and burn it for my mother. But he refused. I am not like them, Song Juo said hoarsely. I help you. Whatever you want to do, I will help you. Thank you for helping me. I looked at him. His eyes lowered slightly. But when I needed you most, there was a moment when you turned your back and ran. After that, there was never going to be a moment when I needed you again. And besides, everything you have done, other than making trouble for me, what did any of it actually accomplish?
Chapter 6. Song Juo's eyes flew wide. I set down my glass and leaned back in my chair. And we are not the same kind of people, I said. Wang Zongyang bullied you, so you became his dog and went out to bully others for him. I do not like being a dog. His expression changed. What are you planning to do? I looked at him. You have already come into my house. Do not tell me you still don't know what I have done and what I am about to do. The apartment had been renovated after the fire. Fresh wallpaper, bright, clean walls. But inside the soundproof partition, once pried open, someone was standing. No, not standing, hanging upright. A body covered in wounds, broken and ruined. Wang Zongyang always said studying was useless. He said educated women only know how to put on airs. He never understood that books can be useful after all. You can learn anything from history, even this punishment. In the Qing dynasty, it had a name, standing punishment, an extrajudicial punishment. Though dying on your feet like this, I smiled faintly, it is not easy. Wang Zongyang's arm had been removed, cleanly at the shoulder. That arm was what had been found in Wang Hu's old house 10 years earlier, the discovery that had frightened Wang Hu into running. I picked up another glass of liquor, walked over, and poured it over Wang Zongyang's newest wound. "Disinfecting it for you." He weakly lifted his head. His eyes were full of pleading. I smiled back. "Why are you looking at me like that? I am helping you. That ulcer has eaten all the way to the bone, has it not? It hurts, does it not? Let me clean it out for you." His gaze dropped to the glass I had just crushed in my hand, the shards glittering. Fear in his eyes turned slowly into hatred. I met his stare and said lightly, "Kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, taking a life, serious crimes, all of them. But things are different if we are married. Then I am only lawfully taking care of my husband." "Oh, are you wondering where the marriage certificate came from?" I tilted my head. "Were you people not always so good at buying documents, altering ages, forging certificates? I simply learned from the best of you. Back when the systems were not connected and record-keeping was loose, I bought a marriage booklet with an official stamp and everything, in your name and mine." The first time Wang Zongyang saw it, his eyes bulged, his lips trembled, but only garbled sounds emerged. I held up the certificate and smiled a chilling smile. "This paper is very useful. If you pass away, my property becomes mine. If your younger brother and wife pass away too, their share gets split to me as well. And your lovely little niece, the final seed of the Wang family, no, their precious last jewel, I could even file for guardianship." He struggled to form words, but the long cold had stiffened half his face. All that came out was drool sliding down his chin. He snarled in his throat and lunged as if to bite me, but the bindings behind him tightened and held him fast. I tilted my head. "So you like biting people? Back then you forced me to bite the tea table. Now you want to bite me instead? Unwise. Just like Zhang Chuang. She would not behave before she passed away either." I stood, shut the hidden door, and locked it. Song Zhuo's face changed again. Like a frail mountain goat finally realizing the creature before him was no longer prey, but a wolf. He lurched to his feet and nearly fell flat. I walked over and calmly bound his wrists and ankles with plastic zip ties. "There was something in the liquor?" he asked, aghast. "Then why are you fine?" I smiled. "After all these years of insomnia, I have swallowed more pills than water. Things like this do not do much to me anymore." "What are you going to do? Shaquan, I am on your side. I am helping you." "Did you forget?" I said. "I only planned to take half of Zhang Chuang's face. You were the one who got scared I would be exposed, so you took the rest." As he lowered his head and begged, a train ticket slipped out of his clothes. I bent to pick it up. "Tomorrow's departure," my real name printed on the ticket. Back then, the identity systems were not fully linked. One ticket could take me almost anywhere. I laughed. "On my side?" Then I kicked him hard in the face. "Idiot! Why should have Zhang Shuang have been allowed to pass away cleanly? After everything she had done, did money really buy her forgiveness? One tragic death, one lavish funeral, and her reputation washed clean? Not a chance." Understanding dawned on him. "So, you let me see you on purpose. You deliberately let me see Zhang Shuang. You let them quarrel in the square? Everything was part of your plan. That accident, you created it." I turned on the gas and put a pot of water on the stove, letting it boil over. Once the flame went out, the gas would spread through the room. As I dragged Song Zhuo into the bedroom, I left the door open. "You look exactly the way Zhang Shuang looked when I showed her the marriage certificate, when she realized I could take custody of her daughter." I laughed softly. That expression was beautiful. I waited so long. I waited for the little child to grow up, waited for the grandmother to pass away. So many times I almost could not bear it, but every time I thought about Zhang Shuang trying so hard to be a good mother, I smiled. It was worth the waiting. Gas began to seep into the main room. The bathroom inside the decrepit bedroom only had one new thing in it. The door, solid, strong. "Shaquan, you are not this kind of person," Songzhuo whispered, shaking. "Think again. We were close once. Your mother liked me. My father liked you. We ate together." I gathered a few things, stepped back into the living room, and picked up one of the eggs from the floor. He trembled. "If Qinji finds out you were the one who caused his father's death, how do you think he will look at you?" I smiled and answered softly, "The same way I look at you. Can you guess how that is?" Then the explosion came. A tremendous blast. Half the building shook.
I woke in a hospital bed. Police surrounded me. The doctor signaled that they could come in and take my statement. Everything had unfolded exactly as I intended. I was the victim. I had acted in self-defense. A pitiful woman dragged into a vortex of crime. But then came the one call I had not expected. It was from the bank where I had once worked part-time. The older policeman set the phone down in front of me. "Explain this. What is that money?" I raised an eyebrow. "Is saving money illegal now?" "No, but you have always pretended to be poor. There are more than 300,000 yuan in your account. Only platinum clients get this kind of call. Tell us where it came from." I smiled. "Savings. If you do not believe me, let me call and ask." He glanced toward King Ji, who was standing in the corner. "Why?" I answered honestly. I was going to hire someone to take a life from me. Then the crackdown got stricter, the price kept climbing, and it became too hard to find someone reliable, so I gave up. It was only motive, I never did it. So that is not a crime, right? "Right," he said, "not a crime." I let out a small breath. "Good, then I have said everything. When can I leave the hospital?" "Your face is injured again," King Ji said quietly. "I have already contacted a plastic surgeon for you." "Thank you, Officer King." I closed my eyes and said nothing more. On the 5th night, after the nurse checked the ward, I feigned stomach pain and climbed out through the bathroom window. In the blurred night, the taxi flew. A little over 10 minutes later, we reached the train station. My train was about to leave. But just outside the entrance, I saw King Ji. He was moving through the crowd. Several plainclothes officers were behind him. I hesitated, then walked toward him. "Officer King." I smiled, took a red egg from my pocket, and placed it in his palm. "For you. It tastes exactly like the ones my mother used to make." He froze. He was about to say something, but he never got the chance. I twisted sideways and tried to run. A heavy hand closed over my shoulder. It was his mentor. The world spun. White light flashed. Moonlight blurred. Everything was over. "We reviewed the surveillance footage," someone said. "There were parts of your story that did not match." Songzhuo, that man. He had installed hidden cameras in my apartment. He had recorded everything. Ah, so they found out. Strangely enough, I felt relieved.
Epilogue. Qinji. Qinji ate the egg I gave him. Once you have eaten from someone, your words have to soften. He promised me he would take care of my cats. He said he would donate every cent in my account. He even promised to arrange a joint grave for my mother and me. All that in exchange for one egg. That was a profit too large to count. The last deal of my life was also the most profitable deal I ever made. For my final meal, I refused everything else. I asked only for eggs and sappanwood, so I could dye them myself. I dyed many. I chose the prettiest one and ate it very slowly. Salty, sweet, exactly like the egg my mother silently dyed for me on that dark night long ago.
Hey there! If you enjoy our audio content, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. Most importantly, click subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated with everything Zuzu Audio. Support the channel and join our community today.